Well, I took a look at some of the titles out there on videos, and I have to say, absolutely astounded. And it's no wonder that you live in fear. I want to talk about it today because moving forward, your life could be something so unbelievably amazing. It is a choice. And you might say, no, it's not. I'm in a planet that's a prison planet. These are guys, they're fighting these guys and blah, 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 blah. Shut your pie hole, because we're going to talk today about what's really available to you and how it is choice. And through that choice, thank goodness, you can create absolutely everything. We're going to talk about aliens, orbs, manifestation, law of attraction. Let's cover it all. Why not? Let's go there. Come with me. Welcome to Landria, Onkka on YouTube, here to help you break through fears and live an amazing life. It is a challenge because it is a matrix game we signed up for. People struggle with that. Why? I'm going to tell you what it is and why we do have horrific things going on here. What is the purpose? Because there is purpose to everything. It's not just random stuff happening or humans making decisions that, are separate from God. That's absolutely impossible. There is nothing separate. So let's start out with, I totally would appreciate you clicking and subscribing to my channel, supporting positive channels that are encouraging you to make unbelievable choices that are going to create peace in your life, abundance, health. We're going to address all these things, not with blame and separation. We're going to do it in compassion and love and total, what I call the knowing, understanding. Now, if you haven't read my book, it was a downloaded book. I didn't go into some trends. It was just download a book. All crazy hours I would get up and get this urge and had to write it. I have clear audience. What is that? We're going to talk about that too. It's when it's almost me speaking that tells me things like, you need to get up and write this, and here's that, and that's what I did, and it was published just recently. I was told it has to come out now. All right, so you see the book. It's called Breakthrough Fear, Your Spiritual Butt Kick. My whole channel's about that. Why do I say that? A spiritual butt kick is, hey, snap out of it. Here's what you are, and you really hold that power. Now, let's talk today about aliens. Yes, there are extraterrestrials. They are just different life forms, just like a frog doesn't look anything like a human, right? A giraffe doesn't look anything like a frog. And extraterrestrials, those from other planets and beyond, and in the, let's just say, other dimensions that aren't quite material, absolutely look different. What are orbs? One of my students in my Miracle Circle, you guys, you have free stuff here and you can join my Miracle Circle. We're going to go into quantum shifting, not jumping. And then we're going to do some orb training with my subscriber Nikki, who has communications with the orbs. What is it all? What is, my student says, why do people want to communicate? I said, well, I don't know. That's their personal choice. They're fascinated with it. But it's not a game. Everything's a frequency. So I want you to know that when you tune into certain things, you will have certain things revealed to you. Orbs are just energy, just like extraterrestrials are. And it's all on different frequencies. So no, not all ETs, extraterrestrials, are, high frequency. But have you noticed none of them have taken over? And then we have these whole, conspiracy theories that they're signing contracts with our government. Yeah, really? Yeah, extraterrestrials are signing contracts. What? That's insanity. But we are in such a dense, limiting, gullible condition that we absolutely are fascinated with the fear. So one of my subscribers said, so what about, kids that are being, sent over in trafficking and all this other stuff? And I said, well, what about the animals we abuse? What about that plastic bottle you're drinking out of that's going out in the ocean that's polluting your own body? What about all the drugs that we take because we're conditioned to think that that's going to make us feel better and actually does it worse? What about people who who tell us things that are blatant lies because they're looking after their own interests. It just goes on and on. That is the planet. That's the state of the planet. And all of those are choices. You're either the change maker or you're complaining and arguing and separating. So people will come on spiritual channels and they argue with one another about they're doing this in the government, and then I'm saying, no, what are you doing to change it? So we have to be the change makers if we don't like something. Everybody is allowed to have their own opinion. When you oppose it and you think that yours is right, we go into conflict. And it causes distress. So if you feel distress, it's because you're wanting something from somebody, or you want things to be a certain way because your ego is in control. And if you let that go and you realize everything is an individual choice and journey and teachings, all of it is. So if there's something going on that you don't like, you can step in and be the solution to that lower frequency activity that's going on. All right? Animals, kids, doesn't matter. What are you doing to change it? It's an opportunity, presents an opportunity, because we don't have it outside of these bodies. When we don't have dense bodies holding us down, and when we know what we are, we don't fully know that all the time, by the way. Just because you go to the other side doesn't mean you have all the answers. But when we go into that state of being, we don't have the challenges we do here. Because we know what we are. We think something, we actually place our attention, and it's there. It occurs. We're in euphoria. We shed the density of the separation, the hate, the anxiety, the fear. And sometimes you'll stay in it for a while until you figure out new lessons and then progress. But you will not interact the way you can here. It does serve a purpose. I know it's difficult to believe that. We signed up for it because if you sat up, in a tree playing a harp, you'd be bored out of your brains. Look at the challenges we get to create here. I created Digital Explorers. You guys have seen this. I'm helping people to create planet conscious businesses. All we do is focus on our passion and what we love. Why? It's so different than what we do here. So that's what makes it so special. Oh, wow. I actually only have to focus on the things I love, and we create money, abundance doing that, and we help other people at the same time. What a concept. We're changing how the planet operates, how we operate with one another, but you cannot do it. You cannot do it if you set limitations for yourself. You can't go into that space. You'll operate here, and that's okay. Where do you want to go in the mansion? The penthouse or the basement? If you are in conflict or you're telling people what they should and shouldn't do with judgment, right? If somebody asks your opinion, absolutely. You can give it. Don't do it as a person who is also coming from ego if you want to be fair and go into neutrality and compassion. Well, if you want to go into conflict, go ahead and tell them, give them a piece of your mind. What's that going to do? It creates more conflict. One of my subscribers got mad because he came on and said, men love curvy women and they should do that. And I said, are you speaking for all men? I've got some friends that are like that. Their blood pressure is high and they're miserable. Okay? So we cannot speak for every human being. All we can do is say, here are your options. Here are your choices. And every choice has a consequence. Now I want to talk about, you've seen these stars, these movie stars that some people, a vast majority, look up to and are fascinated with. We've seen people get awards. I've seen this where you get awards and somebody comes up and they grab the award and you shouldn't get it, and then they give this speech, or somebody gets smacked on a stage. They're acting like children, so caught up with the recognition and what they should get, and their whole life revolves around that. Why are we giving this attention? And then we say the world is messed up. No, we have to take full responsibility. All right? So I want you to know that these people up on these stages fighting for those damn awards, what's it going to do at the end of the day? It was all about them and what they got and their attention, and that's not a happy place. So don't ever wish to be somebody else. Because you can be amazing right now. You already are. You can be as amazing as you want to be if you let go of the judgment and the separation of other people. It's not easy. It's going to pop in all the time, especially when people behave badly around you or they say something to you and they trigger you, right? And you're like, I'm supposed to be okay with this? No, I never say you should be okay with it. You see, you're on my channel because you like the spiritual butt kick. Eckhart Tolle, well, no, he gives some spiritual butt kicks. But I'm always going to tell you that you are that powerful, and that if you want to make a difference, you have full control. And if your triggers get fired off, right, you use it as an opportunity to say, my ego's still talking. That person just presented an opportunity for me to test and see if I'm still in operation here in my full, beautiful, etheric self, or the ego who feels somehow it's been damaged, right? Have an opinion. It's okay to talk to somebody. But now, once again, you know, if you get somebody who says they get angry at you, you didn't agree with them or whatever, it's okay to be a human being. I want you to know that, because so many people in the spiritual community think they're not allowed to do that. They're not allowed to be angry or have fear, all these things. An enlightened being experiences it without allowing it to control them. That's the only difference right there. They go into euphoric state, they still experience it because you're in a dense world, you're participating in it because we are a collective, we're a shared energy field. So anybody who's doing anything out there is a part of you, affects you, and your thought about them affects them. All right? We have extraterrestrials here. Of course we do. All right? And probably a majority of people here are in some material world, an exchange of that DNA. All right? Just the material world part, which actually you're still always connected to because nothing's separate, but the actual essence of you is the super high frequency. The pyramids were not built for kings and queens' bodies. There's no body that's ever been found in the pyramid. Did you know that? Never. Yeah. So what does that mean? They were built as some kind of energy power plant. We are not using all these things because the density of the planet uses the material world to control, and as soon as we don't use the material world and we go into giving and sharing and community, we don't require the control of money to be happy anymore. So this is why we're not going to free energy and all these things, because people in density will not have that money and power control if that goes away. Same thing with your health, right? And what we eat. So you are totally in control of your choices right now. So you're looking at these stars. I mentioned Jim Carrey, and by the way, it doesn't make him a saint just because he's calling out Hollywood as very controlling and fake and, you know, hanging together. He's stepping out and saying this is what it is. Obviously, it disturbs him greatly, you know, so whatever. The point being is more people are speaking up and saying, I'm not going to go along with this. I call it non-tolerance. So I'm not telling you to go along with anything. I'm telling you to go in with compassion and say, why are these people behaving the way they are? Why are movie stars and singers and whatever behaving in a nasty way against each other, competitive, whatever? Because they're in fear. They're in fear because they believe that the material world is who and what they are. And when they go beyond that, if they think they lose that power, that adoration or whatever, they believe that their life somehow has failed. Can we go into compassion and stop putting these people up on a pedestal and realize that they're usually more insecure than anybody? A lot of them went into those businesses because they're insecure and they want that attention. It's okay. They're amazing. We love them. We can go watch them, and you have to watch your choices right now. We have extraterrestrials coming here. They're showing themselves. Yes, a lot of nasty stuff. There's stories out there that are so incredulous and insane, and I don't believe 90% of them. But if you do, you'll create it, and you will actually start to manifest some of these things. So you're creating the world that you believe. When do you start enjoying your life here? When do you stop worrying? When do you stop struggling? If you make higher choices, you would focus on the things of joy and passion. And this is why I created Digital Explorers. All we do, this is actually challenging the students. Put the business aside. We're going to create that. That's the easy part. We don't create a business plan and then we set everything up. That's later. I want to know what you want. I want to know what makes you happy. I want to know how you want to contribute to this planet. I want to know the impact you want to make before you leave this planet as the form you're in. I want to know that because we're going to create it and we're going to contribute and we're going to raise the frequency and yours, and you're going to wake up and say, this is the way I should be living my life. It doesn't matter who's doing what, or who got what award, or who did drugs, or who in the government is corrupt. It doesn't matter. Never adore anybody if you want to go into a space of peace, because no one is above you or below you. These things you do to the least of us, you do to me. No one, even the murderer and all the people you guys are saying, well, what about? I say, what about them? That's your test. That's your test. Those are the people who need the most help and compassion from us, and options to change those decisions, to make different decisions, not our judgment and finger pointing. That is absolute, that's hate. That's anger, that's resentment, that's judgment. It has to end. This world will change. It is changing. If you read my book, you read The Tipping Point and the Knowing. The Knowing is, you can start to laugh at this stuff. It's actually ridiculous, because when we realize the power we wield and that we can actually change anything, but it is a big challenge. We're programmed, and that's the game. And you came here to change the game. We are the programmers. As we change our thoughts and beliefs, we change the program. It goes up a notch. It keeps going up. It keeps getting better and more pleasant. The challenges change. All right? So I want you to know that you are not in distress unless you choose it. And I know you're going to say, well, you don't know where I am. And I say, well, you don't know where I am. You never know what another person is going through, what they've been through. You know nothing about another person, and that's judgment. It doesn't matter what somebody else is doing or whatever is going on. If there is an opportunity for you to step in, to shine your light, do it. Do it for whatever you guys call a victim. There are actually no victims. In the higher realms, these are our choices, and I know it's difficult. Why would I choose that? Because you want to know it. Because you might have been the perpetrator. You might have been the murderer. You might have been the murdered. Because all probabilities exist, and we are not one individual. We have experienced all of these things. We have some big things coming that are going to show you more and more that we are much greater than these human bodies that you see. You're going to get information, start paying attention to it. Step out of the way of the ego that tells you stories. And when you listen to the stories out there and you believe it, then ask yourself, why are you believing any one thing? Because all things are true. Tell me what you believe, I'll tell you, yes, it's true. But when you tell me that everybody else should believe it and that one truth is the truth, now you've gone into the separation of the low frequency in the basement that's going to separate you from up here. Right? Down here fighting with each other in the dark. You don't even know this exists. They know that everything exists. But they cannot bring you up to the penthouse. Only you have that power, and you do have that power. I have memories of different lifetimes, primarily not on this planet, and they weren't pleasant. However, the people that I dealt with were peaceful people. They were peaceful people, right? Some other factions weren't, but I never dealt with what I deal with here on planet Earth. This is absolutely mind-boggling that such powerful people are doing things to destroy themselves and everything else around them. It makes no sense at all. Do you want to change it? You can. Every single thought of yours counts. Every single thought. And if you're in distress, you're in ego. I'm in distress. Why? Because my ego wants something, or it doesn't want something, because it doesn't see a much bigger, limitless picture that I do have choices, and don't have to know what those are, because the ego can't possibly know what's available to it that it never imagined. So if you are in my free email list, teaching you how to go into that space, I have a miracle circle. I have a quantum shifting class. Quantum jumping is we go into a space and we ask our higher self, that other probability, we ask questions. And I say, we don't do that. We step into it. You step into it. And then here in the material world, you have to take the actions. So if you've ever seen Seinfeld, George is a big loser. He decides that if everything George does is wrong, then the opposite of George must be right. So even down to his sandwiches. If he orders egg on white toast, from now on he's going to order turkey on rye. He does the total opposite of what he calls George the loser, and all of a sudden his life changes. He gets great jobs and girls and opportunities, and people start to like him. That's exactly what we do. We shift into being a different person, and you cannot behave the same way. Everyone out there has these equal opportunities. There's no one absolutely below you. They're just making different choices, and those choices are your opportunity to love them anyways. All right, I hope you'll subscribe. You're whole and perfect, strong and powerful, loving, harmonious, and happy. Idolize no one. Idolize no one. The one source is everything, is you. You are all God's. These things you shall do and more. You ready to do that? Be the creator in love and compassion. Judge nothing. Don't separate yourself from anything. Observe. Just observe and think about, what is my response? I'll see you in that new beautiful world, my friend. Namaste.